Peace and blessings, family. I thank you all for joining me on a new episode of BrainFood TV. This is titled, and the topic of this video will be the power that we can have toward using our stimulus check if we decide to put it in the right places, and our irresponsible spending in our communities with some data and facts behind that to give us a vivid picture of how we spend and how we can better start spending our money. So I would like to get into a list of things that we happen to spend every year. And this is actually a study from the lecture of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2013, Saviours Day. These facts come from the study of Dr. Kareem Akbar. And basically what he did is just, put his time and took time to make studies on the spending habits of our community. So I'm going to touch on our foolish spendings and give a little bit of information behind what we do with that. It's apparent that we accumulate $1.3 trillion per year. And let's dive into a little bit about what we spend that on. So the Black community, along with the indigenous people of North America, as a whole, we spend $3 billion on tobacco. And we spend approximately $2 billion on weed and other drugs. That kind of money can actually give us the freedom that we have been looking for from our oppressors. We have been looking for reparations, and we can repair the condition that we are in if we decide to unify and use that money wisely. It goes on to say that we spend more on alcoholic beverages than we do non-alcoholic beverages. I believe alcoholic beverages is $3.2 billion, and on non-alcoholic beverages, we spend $2.8 billion. And that is just a shame, that shows why our health is where it is and why it's not improving, because we actually spend more money on alcohol than we do on water and other juices and things like that. It goes on to say that 3.5 billion of our dollars goes towards games, toys, and pets. I don't know how important those things are to the benefit of our society, but it seems like we need to start redirecting our mindset on where we put our dollars. We spend $19 billion a year on phone bills and services. And mostly, what we're doing is, gossiping and slandering about somebody that lives fairly close to us or somebody that looks similar to us. We spend another $17 billion on charitable contributions, which most, are just scamming us out of the wealth of our community. You obviously, you have your churches, your mosque, your religious practices that take from the people in the community. And then you have things like the Clinton Foundation, where the people of Haiti do not know about the billions of dollars that were raised to build it back up. We spend another $13 billion on lottery and gambling. If we decide to take our money from the lottery system and casinos, we can actually assure that 100% of us are going to win from what we do with that. You probably have 1 in 600 million, 1 in a billion chances of winning the lottery, but we have 100% chance of something positive coming out of us redirecting our mindset and our dollars. So we shouldn't be going for things that or spending thousands of dollars a year personally on things that can just personally benefit us by chance. Let's take the chance out of it and give a 100% satisfaction rate of our unity. So we spend about $75 billion a year on just foolish activities and nonsense, really. And, we're going to go a little bit into the things that sort of we need in life, but we aren't properly directed on the spending. It's spending that is needed, but how we spend it and how much we spend on it can all be fixed with a fixed mindset. So it goes on to say that 29.3 billion of our dollars is spent on clothing per year. And you know us, we want to show out for one another. We want to make the other brother, other sister down the street look bad. So we go and flex out and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on clothes that we could start producing ourselves if we were to put the money behind it. It would not be so expensive for our community, and it could be of quality. We spend $65.2 billion on food. Why do we spend this much on food? Because we are buying microwavable foods and our families are stepping away from the kitchen. So not preserving enough, not making meals that will last your family, and we're getting microwavable foods. And what do these microwavable foods do? They cause cancer and cause all sorts of kind of problems, high blood pressure, you name it, and that actually that food ties into the $23.6 billion a year that we spend on healthcare. When the foods that we eat can be our healthcare, we don't really need healthcare. We need to start caring more about ourselves and our people. So that has a dramatic effect. We go to the doctors to receive death, a prescription of death, and addiction to medicines that do not benefit you at all. We spend now this is funny right here. In total, we spend $321 million on books. Now there is nothing on the list, before this that I explained that's even close to that number. That's the lowest number by far. I think we all agree that this is the definition of irresponsible spending and misdirected aspirations. So I'm going to go in a little bit behind this free money, quote unquote, that we have gotten from our government in this time during this coronavirus crisis, and what we can do as a people to solve our own problems. So for this stimulus check, let's say that there are 40 million indigenous, Black, Latino people in North America. So let's say that 19 million are able to work and are able to receive this check. Let's say 19 million times 1,200 is 22,800,000,000. Now that's what we can have if we all decide to unify. We can reparate ourselves with that kind of money. Now let's say that everybody uses only $400 of their check, leaving $800 per person. We would have $15,200,000,000 to work with. And that's, so people can get the things that they need and repair the situations from this actual crisis, which is hitting the pockets of many people. If everyone was to use $1,000 of your check, and that means it's to leave $200. If everybody was to do that, we would have $3,800,000,000 to work with. Now let's say that we're having doubts that many people are going to be involved and willing to help out. Let's take the number down to about 10 million people. 10 million times 1,200 is $12 billion. And let's say only 10 million people use $200 and spend $1,000 of that check. We would have $2 billion to work with. While the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was among us, he advised us to give 35 cents a week so that we can develop an economic platform for our people. So this is what we can do with change. And I'm going to put the link of the lecture of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan explaining this in full. And these kind of numbers would allow us to create industries that we can go to our brothers and sisters in Africa with once we have began and started to produce things from these industries. We can go over to them now that we have the knowledge. We have been doing the work behind what it means to trade and be producers for our people. I see no reason to go into other lands to bother people. We haven't learned how to live peacefully among one another. We can't even solve the problems within our small community. So I don't see how planting yourself in another part of the earth would help that situation. So let's start in our own hoods, with our pennies, our dollars, to try to build something that we can sustain. This is only a warning from this pandemic about the economy and where it is headed, the jobs that will be available, and the opportunities that we will have with the margin of survival. So we must grow our own food. We must have our own groceries, our own schools, in order to avoid any wicked governmental plan upon our children, so we can house them and educate them so that they may learn about themselves and go out to create a better future for their people. I thank you all for joining me on another episode of BrainFood TV. This is just a quick breakdown of what we can do if we decide to unify and gather our resources for our community. Peace and blessings, family. I will see you on the next episode of BrainFood TV. Peace.